Nothing like the sight of Samus landing on a brand new planet that she hopes to explode. As we go ahead and take our first steps onto Tallon IV. But first, there's something all too important we must do once again. Glitches that only exist in the GameCube version of this game. Of using a strange momentum thing that you get from doing a side hop with the scan visor up. Yeah! Actually managed to pull it off for the first time for the second time! Yeah, no failures on the actual recorded bits. This is not showing the, 20 to 25 times I failed trying to actually get that in practice again. Because I didn't have a feel for it anymore. And it was kind of funny, actually, with the practicing that I was doing. I got it on the first try, and then I wanted to make sure I could do it consistently. And then proceeded to fail 20 to 25 times. It's pretty bad. But yeah! The old GameCube version sequence break for the space jump boots. If you play this on the Anniversary Collection for the Wii, it will not work. Retro patched a lot of the sequence breaking stuff you can do in the original Metroid Prime, including this one. The only reason why I really wanted to do this particular sequence break is that the trip to get the space jumps later in the game, the space jump boots, is actually really tedious, because it involves going all the way back from an area you just reached, coming here, grabbing it, and then returning the entire way. There's almost no purpose other than to just make you backtrack all that much. And I know, backtracking in a Metroid game and whatnot, but it's the most tedious thing you had to do in this entire game. So to be able to get rid of that with the sequence break, I'm all for it. Also, yeah, never forget to scan your ship. It is important. Samus must know about her own aircraft. Yeah, I'm not going to sequence break too hard, though, because I don't know how many glitches can trigger if you get all the things that you can with the space jump right away. So I'm going to at least behave a little bit and stick to things that I know won't break the game. By the way, you can't actually target things until you've stepped through the door, so that's somewhat awkward. But yeah. So, finally getting a bit more on point here. Just to let you guys know, I was intending to have other people in this time, but it's feeling like I need the stars to align to actually have, all that work out, since it is still the holiday season after all, so everybody's kind of busy, or there's complications of one form or another versus internet, or just work schedules, or maybe something went wrong that day. So, for the sake of actually keeping the content a bit more regular, I'm going to just be a little more apt at doing these by myself. But yeah, as with before, this is the Impact Meteor. It's an area that you can take a peek at right away, and the most you're really going to get out of it is a little bit of background, as is showing here. Forgot that I actually decided to show the entire analysis on the pirates here. Gives you a bit of a back rundown on what the Impact Crater is about, and what they've been trying to do to it. Sets up a little bit of story for you, but then he gets walled by a missile door. Explosive weapons may destroy it, so basically, missiles. I understand why they went with barriers in this game over what we're used to from previous Metroid titles, the colored doors, because they'll come up later on. They used colored doors for something else, so they had to compromise, and since, easy enough to make something that can tell you what to do. Beetles. This is one of the first enemies that you'll encounter on Tallon IV. You'll encounter lots and lots of them. Just shoot rapidly, it really solves the problem for you. Also, I'm quite aware of the slight hiccup there in the video. It's emulation, it's gonna happen. Unfortunately, not too much I can do about that, considering I can't even record the console right now because of broken hardware, so this will have to do. These count as creatures! Make sure to scan them too. If you're trying to get all the scan logs, you have to be very, very diligent. Because, yeah, all the little enemies and whatnot, they are marked with orange instead of red. So you don't actually know that they're going to go into your logbook until you get into the habit of scanning them. It's one of those things, they probably should have made it so anything that goes in your logbook is colored red, just to make it a little bit easier for you to tell what you're supposed to be focusing on. I don't mind the flavor text scans at all, it's just it would be nice to distinguish between the two of them. Also, here's the elevator system for this game. The elevators are definitely larger than in the old 2D games, but they're just as recklessly fast! Although at least this one kind of slows to a stop. It gets a little crazier in other titles. Oh, I should see the second Metroid Prime's elevators, they're a bit out of control. But yes! It just so happens we've landed on yet another planet that coincidentally had a bunch of Chozo living on it. Which is why we're gonna find a whole bunch of power suit parts, because all the Chozo knew about this one power suit and its parts. And you know what? I'm not even gonna attempt to come up with a logical excuse for why we always find Samus's different upgrades on so many different planets and all over the place, because it's just like, it's a Metroid game, just accept that they're there. You can get an early missile expansion really easily just by pulling off that little space jump. You're actually supposed to get that one with a completely different power-up, but I mean, it's one of the easiest ones to get a space jump for. So we're gonna sequence break slightly harder than the last time I played this game. You know, that was months ago when I only managed to post 2 videos. But it's not gonna be that much more. It's just that it's more convenient to grab the Morph Ball now because it removes a little bit of backtracking. That's really it. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that now. Spoilers, by the way. Ooh, we're getting the Morph Ball. Who would have thought? I'm just trying to return the game to the normal order you always get things in Metroid games, where you get the Morph Ball first. Except I understand that's not true in a lot of titles, because they like to give you missiles first. But, yeah, details. Either way, Beetle Mini Boss go. It's really not that difficult, just... The only reason why I'm kind of mashing the lock-on button and the fire buttons at the same time here is because if you shoot a beetle once with even just a tiny pellet and it's stunned for a bit, so it won't try to ram you. So I'm just trying to change targets as fast as I can to keep them all stunned as much as possible, so you don't really have to worry about anything. It's a super easy mini-boss, and the only thing that's really going to hit you is them coming from behind anyways, so whatever. This guy can be a little bit of a pain your first time around in the game, though, so there is that, I suppose. Since it forcefully teaches you how to get used to the sidestep mechanic, otherwise you're going to get charged into multiple times and maybe eventually die. Do remember, you can still do the side hop, even in the scan visor, so no issues there. Because yeah, you can't hurt the plate beetle at all from front, it just doesn't work. You do have to get its glowing red shoot me here point. I apparently used up all my missiles extremely quickly, whoops. Oh, it's fine, moral drop. Yeah, let's grab the Morph Ball. It took until the Metroid Prime series to really just understand how big this thing actually is. Like, the Morph Ball, while it does make Samus much smaller in size, is still pretty big and turns up in a lot of different scans just how large this thing is. I think it's like a cubic meter or something? I forget. I just know that it is large. Because it's one of those things where it's about the same height as if somebody's crawling. So, you know, the amount of different things that you can fit into there. Samus isn't exactly going into tight squeezes, she's going into, like, ventilation shafts and the like, in regards to size. So it's nice that there's all these convenient, like, 1 meter by 1 meter passages, but, you know, like I said, don't try to explain the video game too hard or you'll give yourself a headache. Ah, yes! So, nothing like the hubris of looking back on something you did in a previous recording and not realizing how lucky that was. Attempting to do this jump. Yeah, spoilers, it didn't work out. So, I tried that one quite a bit in terms of practicing it, and I can't get it consistently. It's possible to make that jump and get the missile expansion early, but it's really not important. Because what I'm doing there, the whole looking at the ground before the jump and all that good stuff, this game has some really strange momentum things to it, where for some reason, as Samus's camera starts correcting itself after you've aimed downward, it gives you some increased forward momentum so you can actually jump longer. On top of that, for some reason, slightly twisting your body on the space jump portion of your jump, so the second jump, makes you a little bit floatier than if you just jumped in a straight line, so that little twist that you do at the end is actually extending the jump. So yeah, there's a lot of really weird little control nuances in this game, and thus there's a lot of little breaks that you can do, which most of them have been corrected in the Wii version. Which makes me a little bit sad, because this game actually does feel really nice to aim with a Wiimote on. It's one of the things with motion controls I actually like, is being able to aim with something other than a control stick. Because I don't know about other people, but I've never been fond of console shooter games. So attempting to aim with joysticks just doesn't feel right, so gyro controls kind of fix that decently. It's not a mouse, but it's better than nothing. Ah, these guys. Basically, it's called a blast cap. Kinda tells you right away that don't stand near them, they'll explode. Here's some brimstone, you can destroy it with missiles. If there's one thing you'll get used to throughout this game, it's the different types of destroyable materials. So once you start recognizing the name association with what you need to destroy it. An example of this being, you need the Morph Ball bombs to destroy sandstone, brimstone for missiles, and another future power-up for cordite. There's a few different, like, little material names that always be highlighted in red to emphasize what you need. Slight zoom speaking again for the map station, but it's one of those things, you have to come back this way anyways, so it's not like we're going to be off for very long. Also, I made sure to actually turn off the hint system this time, so we don't get spoiled of a future location from sequence breaking with the space jump, because that confuses the game terribly as to where you currently are in progression. My bad, I guess? But yeah. This first little part, you know, I love Metroid Prime, I do. I love this game a lot. The Chozo Ruins are kind of boring. I'm just gonna put that out there. They're not the most interesting environment, it's just a bunch of ruins and there's poison everywhere. But they're also one of the shortest places to explore, and you get the vast majority of it done on your first go, so it's not so bad. The other areas in the game are actually kind of neat. Here's the intended first mini-boss of the game, you know, beyond the Parasite Queen. I'm not including the intro location, because it's just the intro. This one's actually kind of mean. So welcome to the Ram War Wasp Hive Mecha. The whole purpose of this mini-boss is for these wasps rotating around you to bonk into you and knock you off into the poison water. At this time, you're only going to have one energy tank unless you broke the sequence really hard. But here's the thing. This is the first mini-boss. The player has not really had any time to get used to liquid mechanics. So how sluggish and slow Samus jumps around in the water. And if you fall off this thing on the wrong side, for a new player especially, it can be really hard to find out where the hell you're supposed to get back on the central platform. So you just end up, you know, wandering around under the toxic water and probably dying. So yeah, bit of a harsh lesson. It feels weird for this thing to be the first one, considering how much easier the beetle boss is, but what can you do? This is where they positioned it. Also, for you trying to get 100% scans, make sure to scan the mecha as well as the wasps. They are both unique to this one thing. So if you forget, you're not going to get 100% logbook completion. That's a recurring thing in this game where you have to pay attention, where even sometimes boss parts will have a unique scan. This will come up again, and it's still dumb. But this is mostly just for if you want to get all the little extras in the game. It's not actually necessary to get 100% completion on your file at all. You get 100% item completion, the game is happy enough with that. Also, I have no idea why I decided to just jump over the energy tank for a moment there, but it's your first energy tank! Great! Could use that, you know, during the fight. I'm fine now, because I've played this game several times, but I just can't help but think of that, of just first-timers and getting stuck in that water and dying and then walking all the way back. I don't know, that's always felt really weird to me. Even when I very first played this game, it's just like, wait a minute. Seems kinda mean. I don't know, it's just a Hive Mecha to me. Never been super fond of it. In fact, the water wasps in general in the Chozo Ruins just really get annoying. If only for the noises. If only for the noises. Yeah. Now we're more or less back on sequence. We just have to make our way back and go ahead and start heading towards the next intended power-up. That's probably about the harshest I'm gonna get. There's about, like, one more significant power-up I can think of that I want to go ahead and break for, but that'll be in the future. For now, though, we're, you know, got a decent supply of missiles, 15. That'll help out on certain things, but not for now. Now we'll go ahead and putter over this way. Ah, the ruins, though. At this point, I can get through them pretty quickly. I mean, I'm not a speedrunner or anything like that, but I know where everything is. Metroid Prime is one of those games where I have basically every location memorized because I've played it enough times. This includes the different power-up locations. One thing that's... Actually, I'll just touch on this now. One thing that's really nice about the Metroid Prime series that stayed constant throughout it is how you can hear power-ups. You can hear them from a significant distance as well as that sound that you can occasionally hear in the background over my squawking. Well, it admits my squawking. But yeah, it makes a very distinct noise. And yeah, you can kind of hear one from the missile expansion you can see across the wall there. This allows you to actually locate the power-ups much easier than you would otherwise. Because that way you can at least, you know, tell that there's something around that you're supposed to do. You can hear them through walls and stuff like that as well, so it's just like, it's perfect. It's nice. I wish the 2D games could do something like that. Well, they kind of did. By the time I've recorded this, you know, Return of Samus, good old Metroid 2 remake's already been out. And it did the whole, like, scan pulse thing, and that's similar, but not quite to the same vein. It shows you stuff that you can destroy, but not necessarily whether or not it leads to a power-up. So, you know, they're kind of learning that shooting every tile in the room is not super exciting. I realize that it's kind of like something that defines the series of sorts, but it's still nice to have the option of something that works a little bit better, you know? Somehow I've been yakking this entire time. I kind of want to apologize for, like, the lack of dead air, but anyways... That's gonna do it for now. We made pretty significant progress into the Chozo Ruins. There'll still be more to do, of course. But until next time, see you then!